The phone rang at 2:17 a.m., and the first thing I heard wasn't her voice. It was the sound of breathing, fast and uneven, like she was trying not to cry out loud. Then she whispered, "Can you come get me?" He locked the door. In that moment, every unfinished thought in my head disappeared. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't ask why she was there. I just said the only thing that felt solid and true in the chaos of that second: there's still room at my place. And as I grabbed my keys, I had no idea that this night would quietly rewrite both our lives. I had met Lena 3 months earlier at the corner cafe where I spent most evenings after work, pretending to read while really just trying to be around people without having to talk much. She sat 2 tables away, always with a notebook, always leaving before her coffee went cold. The first time our eyes met, she smiled like she already knew me, like I was familiar in a way neither of us could explain. We started with small talk, about the bad music the cafe played, about the weather that never decided what it wanted to be. Over time, those conversations grew longer, heavier, and softer all at once. She told me about moving to the city for a fresh start. I told her about losing my mother and learning how silence can be louder than noise. We never labeled what we were. We just were. That night, the streets were empty in that way that makes a city feel honest. Every red light felt like an insult. When I reached the apartment she'd sent me the location for, I saw her before she saw me. She was standing barefoot in the hallway, phone pressed to her ear, eyes fixed on the floor. When she looked up and realized it was me, her shoulders collapsed, like she'd been holding herself upright with pure will. She didn't say anything when she got in the car. She just leaned her forehead against the window and finally let the tears fall. I didn't touch her. I didn't ask questions. I just drove. At my place, I handed her an old hoodie and pointed to the couch. She sat there for a long time, staring at nothing, until she finally said, "I'm sorry." I told her she didn't need to be. Then the words came out of her in pieces, how she'd been seeing someone who started sweet and attentive, how control had disguised itself as care, how the lock on the door was supposed to be for safety, how tonight she realized safety doesn't feel like fear. She wasn't bruised, but she was broken in places you can't see, and those breaks mattered more. The days that followed were quiet but heavy. Lena stayed. We set rules without saying them out loud, respecting space, sharing meals, sitting together without forcing conversation. Some nights she woke up shaking, convinced she was trapped again. I learned how to listen without trying to fix. She learned how to breathe again. Healing didn't come in big dramatic moments. It came in small ones. When she laughed at something stupid on TV, when she slept through the night, when she walked to the window and let the sun hit her face like she was relearning warmth. But life doesn't let you heal without testing you. Her ex showed up at my door one afternoon, calm and polite in a way that made my skin crawl. He said he just wanted to talk. Lena froze behind me. I felt anger rise, hot and fast, but I remembered something my mother once told me: real strength doesn't need to shout. I told him she wasn't here to see him. I told him to leave. When he threatened, I didn't flinch. I called the police. He left before they arrived, but the damage was done. Lena shook for hours afterward, blaming herself for bringing trouble into my life. I told her the truth, that choosing to help someone isn't trouble, it's character. Weeks turned into months. Lena found a new apartment, but she didn't rush to leave. When she finally did, she hugged me like she was afraid I'd disappear. We didn't say what this was between us, but it lived in the space between words. One evening, after her move, she came back with takeout and a smile that looked different, lighter, stronger. She told me she'd started therapy. She told me she was learning how to trust herself again. And then she asked, softly, "Did you ever regret coming to get me?" I looked at her and realized something simple and powerful. Some decisions define you, and this was one I'd make again without hesitation. The night she officially closed that chapter of her life, we sat on the floor of my living room, backs against the couch, sharing stories about who we used to be before fear and loss reshaped us. She said, "You didn't save me." I nodded. "No," I said, "but you let me stand with you while you saved yourself." That's when she reached for my hand, not out of desperation, but choice. Love didn't rush in like a storm. It arrived quietly, respectfully, and stayed. If you've ever been the person making that late-night call, or the one answering it, remember this: kindness in a critical moment can echo for a lifetime. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say yes. If this story moved you even a little, take a second to like the video. It truly helps more stories like this reach the people who need them. And if you believe in second chances, quiet courage, and the power of simply being there, don't forget to subscribe. There's always room for you here.